first thing, and yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we're in a pause, ladies and gentlemen, so we get somebody on the phone. Ms. Thomas is not going to be with us except on the phone if we can get her on the phone. So,
Hello,
hello, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You're loud and clear. And
Thank you.
we're just getting ready to start the public hearing. Mr. Town Manager, you going to handle that, or Christie, who's going to do that? You always sound so exasperated. All right, Mr. Evans, the floor is yours.
Okay, this is a public hearing to amend section 157 of the town's land use section when as it appears for numbers on residential dwellings. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get these numbers on the houses where the public ways are. Right now, we have a rule that requires them on oceanfront, on front and back, but on the waterways, on the canals, and on the waterway side where there's public ways, we do not. So this is a public hearing to amend that section of the ordinance so that those areas where there's a public way behind those homes will be required to put addresses, visible addresses on in compliance, just like oceanfront homes. So it's not a big change, but it will allow for several things. It'll allow for life safety, health, and welfare. It'll allow first responders to be able to find you. It'll also allow the planning department and the public works department to be able to locate you if they're actually working from those public areas. So that's what this is.
Okay, did the audience have an opportunity to get a copy of it in the back of the room?
Yes, sir.
Anybody in the audience have an interest in seeing it that hasn't seen it? Anyway, on the table in that corner should be a copy of what we're talking about. And we're going to give everybody an opportunity to speak to that subject in just a minute. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
This is an opportunity for them to speak.
Okay, at this point in time, if you want to speak to this subject matter only, if you raise your hand, I'll recognize you. You'll come to the podium, speak into the microphone, and give us your name and where you reside, and that's the program. Yes, sir.
Keith Smith, 105 Durham Street. I support this, Tim, and I have I guess a personal connection. I had a young lady in the middle of the day show up on my porch, and she was lost. Her family started walking down the roadway, and she started paddleboarding, trying to keep up with them, and just got disconnected from them. They got to the beach before she could get around through the canals. And so we contacted the police department, and so they eventually located their family. So, but if we would have had numbers on the back, then maybe she would have had a better understanding, because she literally looked at me and said, I have no idea where I'm at. She was 13 years old, middle of the day, nobody around. And so that, I think numbers on the back probably would have helped her at least identify where she was and if she's going the right direction or not. So I support it.
Anyone else want to speak to this subject? Yes, ma'am.
Sylvia Pate, I'm at 111 Charlotte Street, and we've only been there 2 years on that particular street, but I was kind of surprised when we moved there that everybody didn't have numbers on the back. I know our house did, so I was real pleased about that, but we had a similar thing this past summer. A dog jumped in the canal. There was some renters across the street, and a child jumped in after the dog, trying to get the dog, and they were out there. But I mean, if we tried to explain to someone where they were at, it would have been really difficult. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea, especially from a safety perspective, so I wholeheartedly support it.
Anyone else wish to speak to this? We are talking about canals and waterway. Everybody knows that we've got to have them on the ocean front, on the street side, and the ocean side of the ocean front house. That's right. Anyone else? Last call to speak. All right, not seeing anyone else raise their hand, we'll move forward and, Madam Clerk, are we in order to, close the public hearing?
Yes.
All right. Without objection, we shall declare this public hearing ended. All right, we'll now go to the regular meeting, which was scheduled to start immediately following the public hearing, which was to be at 5 o'clock. And let's take a moment of reflection and silence, please. Think about how lucky we are to be at Holden Beach and in this country, just for a moment. Okay, thank you so much, and we'll officially call the meeting to order. This is the regular monthly meeting, Town of Holden Beach, and say welcome to all of you that are here and in the airwaves. And number 3 on the agenda is a pledge of allegiance. If you'll stand, please, take your hats off. Pledge allegiance to the flag on my right. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4 on the agenda is a consideration of approving the agenda. Is there any amendments or corrections to the agenda as presented? Mr. Manager, you want to?
Yes, sir. There has been a request for to add a closed session to discuss personnel.
Is there a motion we add this? Can you hear, sir?
Oh, sorry about that.
Take it.
There's been a request by the town attorney to go into closed session, discuss personnel.
Closed session for personnel matters.
Or-
Okay.
Is that correct, or was that
Consult with the
consult with the attorney? Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to add that to the agenda, and I'm assuming you want to add that at the
That would probably
22A.
correct.
Is there such a motion? 22A, executive session?
I apologize, but this is something that we need to discuss that came up today.
Motion to add the item.
A second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And the chair assumes that everything else on the agenda is okay, as presented, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're on number 5, Madam Clerk. If you'll read the conflict of interest, please.
Part 6, Rule 13E of the 2024 Rules of Procedure requires members to disclose any potential conflict of interest. Please state if you have any potential conflict. Mayor Holden,
None.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer,
No conflict.
Commissioner Smith,
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Thomas.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Dyer
No.
and Commissioner Parfit.
No.
Okay, we're gonna move along to number 6, consideration of the minutes of September the 16th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second. Motion made and seconded. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Number 7, public comments on agenda items only. Anything that's on the agenda, now's the time that if you want to say anything about an agenda item, now's the time to do it. If you want to speak about something that's not on the agenda, we'll do that later on in the meeting. And with that, I have a list. And that person that's first on the list is Keith Smith. Did we miss anybody that thought they'd signed up? Okay.
Keith Smith, 105 Durham. There's a couple things that I see on here, but the first one that I put down was for Part F grant. Part F grant. And so when the Part F grant, obviously that came to light when we bought the pier property, and you guys considered that, made that a part of it. And so back then, I made a phone call, and the lady at the Part F grant, she picked up right away. Very accessible, very accommodating, took time to explain everything. And in the reference letter that the attorney has, which I saw what the attorney put, and I think that was spot on unless something else comes up, but it looked good to me. The concern, I think, is the fact that we spent some resources to have the attorney contact the Part F grant again after, and noted in the response that she received that Christie is probably one of the foremost experts when it comes to Part F grants. I mean, when the director cites her by name and says you can kind of basically, whatever she tells you, that's what's going to pass, then we can use our local resources to potentially save the town some money. So I think going forward, we're still going to be talking about Part F grants because I don't know what the percentage is, but I think a lot of projects have that involvement in them. And so, especially for our recreational spaces. So I just, in the future, I would say, let's reach out to them directly. They're more than happy to speak to you. They're more than happy to explain themselves. And basically the response that I saw that the attorney got is basically kind of the feel that I got whenever I called. And so, and I've heard other people call as well. So I think in looking back, we probably could have saved a few dollars, probably not anything that's going to be substantial, but whenever you're budgeting and making sure every dollar counts, then I think we could use our resources better for that. And then just a couple seconds left. Auto parking. I told Mr. I want to call him Jim, but that'd be informal. Mr. Varner, that he has created a gold mine here, and we've benefited from his technology. We've not had to worry about infrastructure getting salt ridden and having to replace meters like Myrtle Beach has over through the years. And so he really came up with a solution to a problem that we had, but we didn't know there was a great way to solve it. And so as we move forward, there's other Jim Varners out there that any problem we come, they're going to be there with solutions. Because if there's one thing that I've experienced in this country is if there's a problem, we can figure out how to find a solution for it, no matter what it is. So, Mr. Varner, thank you so much for your technology and for the work that you do. And the fact that the people that he has enforcing the parking have got to be some of the nicest people around, because I never see the police officer. Oh, I'm sorry. Great job.
Sylvia Pate.
Sylvia Pate, 111 Charlotte Street. I wanted to address, I think it's item 8, the parking as well. I did review the report in there and it looks really good. I think we're bringing in some substantial income, but I know there's been some, there's a couple maybe suggestions in there. I don't know if they're actually recommendations, but anyway, I've heard a lot of people, and I know you tried to look at this one time before about doing some sort of reduced parking for residents, but it seems like that's a complicated process in and of itself, because I know in looking at the information about the Part F grant, you can't reduce it more than half of what you would charge everybody else. I'm assuming that means just for the pier parking lot. So that gets a little confusing. But I would think, since we moved to year-round parking, I would like to recommend to you that you look at doing a complete analysis of the revenue that's been generated from the parking, but also look at what the expense has been since we moved to year-round parking, because obviously there's been expenses too. And if the revenue doesn't really outweigh the expenses a whole lot more, I think maybe a compromise might be that we cut back and maybe we have a few months that are free parking, such as maybe December to February or something like that. But anyway, I would like to recommend you look at that revenue, the generation from year-round versus expenses, and see if that's a possibility. And then the other one I had is on 18 on the Block Q project. I know you're determined to develop another comprehensive design plan for Block Q, but what I would like for you to strongly consider, because there's a lot of concern about using the same venue again this coming summer. So I'd like you to give some consideration to looking at least doing a temporary stage for the concerts for this summer, either purchasing something or renting it. And I mean, if it's such a hardship for the town to pay for that, then I think maybe the town could look at sponsorships. Because I think there's enough businesses in the area that would be willing to sponsor something that like that, and even the concerts in general, because I know all the other towns that do concerts, they reach out to their business community and folks to do sponsorships. But I think we do need a venue over at Block Q this summer, even if it's a temporary one.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chadwick, town manager, number 8.
Please, sir.
I think we got one
Oh,
more.
we do. Oh, Mr. Hawk, I'm sorry.
I was cat in there. They got it. It's okay. Al. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I apologize, sir.
It's all good. Chad Hawk, 1222 Ocean Boulevard West. 2 items I just wanted to discuss for this evening. First is around Park Ave. I know we're getting education this evening. That's great on it. I think there should be more of a special out call or a special meeting specifically so more people can come and understand it, or to propose putting it out there on the web better so people understand more the impact that Part F put on our community. That's number 1. Number 2, though, is on Block Q. I'm asking you as our leadership, you guys could do some special meetings on this. You guys could meet more often to try to fix this sooner than later. We really need to get our dance floor up. We really need the stage up. We have it in the budget. So let's just get it done. And that's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Again, I'm sorry. All right, let's try it again. Town manager, number 8.
Yes, sir. Auto Connect is here. Jim Varner and Dale Lyon, I believe. Is Alyssa here? Alyssa is also here. Okay, and they're going to be giving the report at the annual report.
Thank you very much. Sure, it's okay. Okay, 2 people that I brought with me. Alyssa Irons is my VP of Operations, and she'll be talking about some of the data that we will present tonight. Dale Lyon is here, is our enforcement manager, so he manages the team that is out and about. So I'm very happy that they were both here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the revenue.
Can you people hear in the back? Yeah, okay. Yeah, speaking to the microphone.
Try to make sure I hit the microphone and point at the screen at the same time. The highlights of the revenue, it was a good year. The thing that jumps off the chart is this was the first year that we had year-round parking. So we had significant more revenue in January and February than we usually do. And that's great. Year to date, we're about $60,000 ahead of where we were last year, again, primarily due to that year-round parking. Based on last year's trend through October, November, December, I would estimate we'll hit somewhere around $880,000 to the town for your general use. So it's been a good year from that standpoint. The next chart has the revenue by month, and this is just the detail that goes behind the previous chart. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa to take you through some of the operational logistics that we went through this year.
Okay, I'm a little shorter than Jim, so can you guys hear me? Closer to, okay. Okay, so this is parked vehicles by month. As you can see, June and July were our big months. That's pretty on par. And then the next one is permits and violation payments. You can see day permits and season permits were your big revenue drivers. And the really great highlight is violation payment rate. You've got almost 75% compliance, and that's great. The remainder is sent to collections and is typically paid back after 30 days. So all great. And to break it down even a little bit further, our citation report is broken down by violation type. And the big one was no permit purchase. So typically what's happening is people are pulling in, parking, and they're walking to the beach and not looking at the signage. We do a signage audit every year. We did one last year. We're going to do one again this year and see if there's any more ways we can support you all in that. But as I said, if you look at the next slide, citation trends, overall, it's only 3.6% violations given. So that's fantastic. January and February were high, but you had this was a brand new thing that were doing for you in January and February. So it's pretty on par. I went through it a bit fast. Do you have any questions? Sure.
On the violations paid, I just want to make sure I get the numbers right. When you have a day and then a day upgrade, a day upgrade is somebody who,
Yeah, so typically what happens is most of the time when people pull in and park, they just pay for the day. But let's say you're checking your weather app and you're like, might be a pop-up shower later. They'll pay for 1 or 2 hours and then they'll pay out for the remainder of the day. They'll get a text notification on their phone. They'll do the day upgrade and it takes care of the rest of the day for them.
okay, so basically you add those two numbers and that's how many day visitors we have. Is that a fair?
Yes. So those are day permits purchased.
Right. And then
So
the upgrade purchase is somebody turning into a day purchase?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Same for a year, I assume. If
Yeah,
somebody-
that it's not a true reflection on how many people visited the beach because you also have season permit holders, and weekly permit purchases or hourly, but those are the people that purchase day permits, and that was a big revenue driver, as well as the season permits. You also have the same option with your season permit upgrades. So let's say I buy a week here, I buy a day here, I buy an hourly here. At any time in Holden Beach, you can go through and purchase the season permit button. It will subtract what you've paid per license plate so far. So license plate A has spent X dollars, and it'll subtract that, and you can pay out the rest of your season permit. And that's what you saw there.
I have a question.
Sure.
What are you doing?
Go ahead.
So there's some confusion, especially since we went to yearly parking because everybody thought it was from April to October. So I think some of the confusion is people think if they buy a permit in June, it goes to the next June. So I think part of the problem, people have purchased permits in September and think it goes to the next September. And they only have like 3 or 4 months left.
So we do have a couple of things that we do to try and negate that. It says very clearly 2025 permit, season permit. It says the year that you're purchasing it. When you click on it and put in your license plate and all that, then there's also a payment confirmation screen that specifically says what the expiration date is.
Okay.
Now, it's October. We've had a couple people purchase, they go to the beach, they scan it, they see it's open, and they realize they've made a mistake and just purchased a season permit for $175. Our customer service representatives are very, very helpful, and they will help you just buy an hour or a day permit and refund that $175 if they can, right? So we do try and help there.
Okay.
We don't see it too much, especially in June and July, because they're planning on coming back quite a few times, and depending on how often you come, it usually pays for itself.
Well, I think when we first started it, it went from like, I think it was April to October. And
Yeah.
so if you bought a year one, you had to rebuy a new one in April.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once they realize what's going on, but also I guess if you start purchasing like in September or October, it doesn't really make sense to buy a year pass. And if it does, if you end up coming a lot and the weather's nice, it's going to revert to one.
Yeah.
So I guess you just watch.
Yeah, and our customer service representatives try to make sure they try to educate people before it happens, but
Okay.
we're there just in case you
Super.
hit
Thank
the
you.
wrong button. Any other question?
Yeah, and this one, glad Jeremy's here. I just curious on enforcement. I mean, I understand the parking enforcement, but certain things on roadway, by an intersection, that overlaps with police department enforcement. I just wondered how that plays out.
Sure. I guess that's up to Jeremy, right? But we do our best to help. So, you're right. Right-of-way parking is a town ordinance that we can enforce, and we do. Our parking enforcement officers do. They, will go out, they'll write a citation for it, take pictures of the vehicle, and it is a civil violation that we can take care of ourselves,
Okay.
so that the police department doesn't have to.
Okay, I'm just
Same with-
curious, it's like whoever drives by first and sees it.
Yes, we try and help out as much as we can.
If we ride by and see that, because their ticket is a little bit, it's slender and long.
Yep.
Ours is more on a full-size sheet of paper. So if we ride by and get ready to write a ticket and we see that they've already got one of their tickets in it, we just honestly keep riding by. So it's,
Okay.
it's already been handled. We go by and see one and there's nothing in the windshield, we'll put one of our pieces of paper in it. And if they see our piece of paper, then they do the same thing. They know it's been handled.
Okay, so if we see something real flagrant, we call you first, or we call them? We
Oh, call us so they don't have to deal with it.
Okay.
They got enough on their plate.
Okay, thank you. One other, question, and I don't know if this is, Jim or for you, but, as you heard tonight, we get a lot of questions about resident parking, you know, reduced rates, and I assume that's something you do. I'm just curious for what it'll take to go that way, and.
That is great segue to the last one.
Okay.
Mr. Myers, could you restate your question so I can make sure I
Well,
got it right?
You heard the questions tonight. Can we do that? Can we offer residents reduced rate? We've got, you know, Part F restrictions and things like that. I was just curious, you've got other customers that do offer that?
Yes.
And how does that go? How does it get administered? Make sure you're not giving away too many passes.
Every town is different and it's very much determined by you, the board. In our system, we have the ability to give residents a separate permit from a visitor permit that can be the same rate or can be a reduced rate or can be free. It all depends on your desire and your other contracts. For example, North Topsail Beach gives every resident 2 free permits. Ocean Isle Beach, because of their contract with the Army Corps of Engineers, they are required to charge the same for residents as they are for visitors. But they do not have a discount there. My understanding with Holden Beach is because of the Part F contract, an obligation, I think it's a grant. You are required to charge residents at least half of what you would charge a visitor for a season permit. Again, that's up to you.
Can I add something to that? This discussion came up right after y'all started the parking about giving. And I think one of the reasons that the Board of Commissioners at the time discussed it, there's only 450 parking spaces, I think, at that time. And since then, we lost some to the paving at the
Right.
east end.
Yep, I'm afraid.
So it's gonna be very complicated to do that with the number of inventory that we had. At that time, we weren't doing year-round parking. Now, it did come up earlier, a comment about offering something in the off-season, which I think we could revisit that. But when we discussed this before about reduced or whatever, there's what, 2,000, 3,000 homes and 450 parking spaces.
And part of the original discussion, the first year we did this with the then parking committee, was to look at the distance people had to drive or walk to the beach. Because everybody in Holden lives on the island, all the homes are in that you don't have off island. The feeling was that you're only within a block or two, with the exception of the couple of canal streets that go down around the corner. The response or the answer to that at the time was to create those golf cart, LSE, I said golf cart.
Low-speed
Yeah,
vehicle.
low-speed vehicle spaces at the end of some of those streets for those people to get closer. That was the alternative, but still, no decision was made regarding a discounted or free parking permit option for residents. Now, the other backup to one of your previous questions about when and how we sell season permits. If it's a season permit, it's within the calendar year.
We do have a lot of people come in September and buy a season permit. They're fishermen, they fish off the beach, and they come every day for 2 weeks. And for those people, it's a better deal to just buy a season permit than it is to buy a daily permit, or they buy a daily permit up to 175 and then they're done, either way. So we do see season permits get purchased right up through October. And we are very clear on both our application, on our website, that permit ends on 12/31. So we've done just about everything we can to make sure that people are well informed.
So,
Other questions?
well, just going back to the resident permits, how much work is, if we're effective January 1st, so is there time or what's involved to, how much on your end, how much work?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't answer that question earlier. The process for doing it is to use an authorization code for each resident. Those authorization codes are usually either a utility account number with the town or a parcel ID for the property. Those things can be used one time. They can't be reused. They have limitations. And we do some audits and checks, especially if parcel IDs are used because that's publicly available information. We have had 2 cases where people fraudulently used somebody else's parcel ID. And it turned out one of them was a mistake. He used the guy's next door. When he looked it up, he got the wrong one. But we were able to sort those out very quickly. When you register as a resident in our system, it is touch the button that says resident setup. Enter your authorization code, utility account number, enter your license plates, and because you've entered a resident authorization code that is unique to Holden Beach, a particular town, we know what the rate is for you. So if it's $100 instead of 175, we have that built into our system, and they get a season permit to park anywhere within the town.
Thank you.
Okay,
Any more commissioners have questions?
other questions? Okay, so to wrap up, planning for 2026, right now, I don't see any need to change. Your rates are competitive. The only town that's gone a little bit higher is Oak Island with a season permit. It is now $225 instead of $175. They do put a cap on that, whereas they only allow us to sell 1,500 season permits at that rate. This year, they didn't sell that many. So again, whatever the rate is, it is up to you. But I do not see any need to change what you have in place. Works very well. And then I know if there is consideration for resident parking permits, that's something that we can work with town staff, and we can usually get that turned on within a couple of weeks. We do an annual assessment of all the signs. I know there's been some concern about, do we have enough signs in the block Q area for reminding people that they have to pay for their truck and their boat trailer. We've got about 8 signs out there now. We try not to create sign pollution because we always get feedback about, God, how many signs do you think? Well, I would have a sign in every space if it was just me, but I know that's not practical. But that is something that we go through every year. We'll take a look at it. And the board has charged us in the past with fixing any signs, replacing any signs that need to be replaced, and work with the town staff to enhance anything that we need to. And we've done a few things. Things like change it from April to October to all year. Those are relatively inexpensive things that we can just put a sticker over it with the proper information. Two things that have come up as issues. I don't know if they're really issues. One issue that we have at the pier is that the markings in the pier lot have all faded. It's been a particular challenge for handicap spaces. And that lot does need to be repainted. And we would recommend that as soon as practical. The other area that we're aware of is the new little teeny parking lot in Block Q by the restroom. There's no signage there for parking. And I know there's a desire for that particular lot to be free. However, we also don't want to see people freely park there and walk to the beach. We want it to be free for people using the facilities. So our system does have the ability to monitor that. So we have several parking lots in our other towns where we check for periodically for any vehicle that is overstaying their welcome. We scan it again 2 hours later. If it's still there and they've exceeded their time, then they get a parking ticket. That is something that we do as part of our service. There's no extra cost to doing that kind of support. And then lastly, parking permits for next year. We do like, because you are now year round, we do like to make the season permits available in December for next year. That's typically what we do anyway. They happen to make a great Christmas present, especially for moms who like to go to the beach. So that's always a positive activity. All of the other permits would be effective on January 1st. So that's just our normal activity. Any questions?
Thank you for your help, Jim. Make parking reasonable.
Thank you, appreciate it. As I said, this was a good year for the town. The number of problems and challenges that we've had in other areas, we did not have much of a problem here. As I said, probably the biggest problem was trailer parking in Block Q and handicap parking at the pier. And both of those, we're going to be looking at what we can do to improve that situation for next year.
All right. On behalf of the town, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, the parking lot at Block Q, is that all handicap?
No. There's 4 handicap spots and 4 open spots.
But they're gonna be time limited. Are they gonna be time limited, those 4 spots? Right.
But I know that in the past, the board had expressed a preference for that, there to be some allocation for time. for people to go to the bathroom.
But that lot's not open yet anyway, right? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Chadwick, number 9.
This is the fun stuff right here.
Mhm.
This is the good news. Just a little background, the community rating system is a voluntary incentive program that recognizes and encourages community floodplain management practices that exceed the minimum requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program. There are about 1,500 communities that participate nationwide. In CRS communities, flood insurance premium rates are discounted to reflect the reduced flood risk resulting from the community's efforts to address the 3 goals of the program: reduce and avoid flood damage to insurable property, strengthen and support the insurance aspects of the National Flood Insurance Program, and foster comprehensive floodplain management. FEMA has determined that the town will increase to a Class 6. That doesn't sound good when you say increase, but it is in this aspect. This This determination qualifies property owners for a 20% discount on flood insurance premiums for most NFIP policies. I do want to commend Tim, Carrie, and the rest of the staff for guiding the town to help attain this. It's not an easy effort. Their work day in and day out are what gives you tangible opportunities such as this to reap the rewards of their and the town's hard work. And just want to commend them. So, Mr. Mayor. is that-
Absolutely.
do you- Yeah. That's.
Present it to the mayor.
Yeah.
What do you
No, we're
guys,
gonna- Y'all come in.
but if the board, what else would like to be in after
We're
we do
not
that?
excluding anybody.
Anybody wanna come over here?
Staff doesn't need to get lost in the crowd.
Well, Mr. Mayor, well, I think we're gonna present it to the town. And I think we should present it to the mayor as a representative of the board of the town. But this is a plaque statement that signifies our participation in the National Flood Insurance Program. Now, in order to obtain the CRS rating and then maintain it, it's quite a feat. And it requires constant monitoring and constant enforcement. And believe it or not, we're never gonna get the six by being applicable to that enforcement. Can't be nice. Not gonna happen. But anyway, we've done our job. Because we've done our job, the town has come up to a 26% reduction in repairing the flood insurance. And this like signifies that hard work. This is a 5-year reduction. Don't get all excited, because every year Anna has to go through the rigorous work of maintaining it, because there's an annual value every year, because they don't like to do this. So every year they make us do a re-annual operation, a recertification, or repeat. And sometimes they rent us going all the way back to now. So it is a constant thing that has to be worked on. Again, it is primary flood manager. Her, Kingo is the administrative assistant here from it, and she actually handles just about everything that comes through. Then it goes to Janet, and then Janet gets the system. So these two do a lot. Me and Terry's always in the background because we have to help with enforcement, and do the enforcement for them. So this is a staff, accomplishment that I think benefits everybody. Mayor, I would like to present to the town the hard work of the staff. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. 20%.
Big premiums, big discount.
I tell you, for those of us that pay in excess of $15,000 a year, and maybe one case $20,000 a year for flood insurance on one property, that can add up to a lot of money. Thank you so much from all of us.
Amen.
Chief Dixon.
Good evening. So, not a whole lot to talk about in this report. I got a few public service announcements, but we will, before I dive into those, kind of go through the numbers here. On the second page, I wrote a hand note and underlined before anybody went out on a limb there. Yes, we went out to assist the county with a call in reference to a gunshot that did not happen on the island. So nothing to worry about there with us on that. Other than that, I mean, it was September, and kind of our normal call volume for that. You know, we're tapering off from the summer, so kind of glad to see some of the crowds leaving. Love to have them here, but we're ready for November and December. Call the incident reports. In this one, in September, we didn't have a lot. Last month, I talked about some of the car break-ins that happened. Get my months right. Would have been the month before, July. So anyway, September, we did not have any more reports of car break-ins. They actually started again the very 1st of October. So you'll see those in next month's report. I'm actually going to mention that in my quick public service announcement after that. So far, do you have any questions on the numbers or incident reports? And then, of course, the next 2 pages are the citations. We talked about that with the expunctions and how that report was going to have to be modified some. So as you'll notice, there is no defendant information in any of the citation language. Public record does include the ticket number. It's there. So you can go to the courthouse and pull your own public records from there if it's something that you feel that strongly about. It's there. So, any questions, comments, or concerns on that? All right. So then my public service announcements. Steer my language this direction. So like I was talking about, we had some B&Es on August 30th. Those were mostly in the city streets, Sailfish and Fayetteville. And then it happened again on October 10th. This time it was in the fish streets, which are going to be tarpon, marlin, tuna. We had one down in High Point and one in Brunswick Avenue East. So a little more spread out this time. But the biggest thing here is lock your cars. We do have the same suspect of, she's wearing a face mask. She's wearing medical gloves, like latex gloves. So I'd love to tell you we have an idea who she is. We don't yet. We are still working on it. But just lock your cars. She's walking up, pulling door handles. If your doors are locked, she's moving on to the next one. So please just lock your doors. You'll eliminate 99% of our problems doing it that way. But anyway, we are still working on it. And she's been to us, Ocean Isle, Sunset Beach, North Myrtle Beach, and Horry County. So there's 5 agencies that are all working together to try to identify her. The expunctions, we talked about that starting December 1st, 2021. Erica's actually gotten through June of 2022. So she's been over a year so far. And so we're getting through the rest of 22, 3, 4, we will get caught up. But she's done excellent work on that just in the last month, getting us through a year of expunctions already. So, and then the last one is the North Carolina Festival by the Sea is this weekend. Ms. D says they've got about 170 vendors that are scheduled. So it is going to be a big festival. The Tones are doing a street dance that night. They do oldies, disco, beach music, country music. So it's going to be a lot of activities going on that weekend. Just be patient with parking, all that good stuff. And if you need us, come find us. We'll be down there at the festival. Other than that, that's what I got for you. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Commissioners, anybody? Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Good job, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank all of your department. Mr. Evans.
All right. My report. Keep moving. Okay. This month, the active new home permits are 29. Other active permits are 506. Permits issued over 30,000 is 62. Permits issued over 100,000 is 4. Substantial improvements, there's 2 of those. Permits issued waiting pickup is 38. Total permits is 573. Right now, in review, we have 10 permits. There's been 3 cameras issued this month. The cam exemptions has been 8. There's been 11 activities. We have 11 of those cameras. No, zoning issued is 5. Notice of violations is 4. Delineations is 1, and camera site inspections is 15. And those are where Jana goes out and marks the Zoom for folks so they can build and we're with it. Reinspection fees is $375. We're expecting that to go up. Permit services for inspection from 9/1/25 to 9/30/25. And total inspections made is 252. Earlier in the year, we did a bulkhead assessment. I told you that we did assessment. Of those assessments, we sent out 30 violation letters. There was 59 locations assessed. Violations pending, we made contact at working office, getting camera permits before on those. Violations closed out, or made application is 9, and violations still to be sent notices are 29. So we're working our way through those things. They require a lot of work. We end up having to do everything from notifications to postings, and to condemnations, depending on whether they react. So it's a slow process to get them into compliance, but it would help if everybody went out, walked out on their dock, invited a few friends and jumped up and down and don't feel safe. How about that? All right. I'm gonna segue into that, because there's more information. I heard earlier that, and I'm talking about CRS program and other stuff, the things that you said. One of the things is that we partner with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, who comes and helps us. They will go through all of our stuff that has to do with the NFIP or our FEMA rules and regulations as they're applied. And they will sit down with us and staff and go through it, and if they find anything that they think will assist us to help us make it better, make us more resilient, or give us a better score, they will actually go through it, take a hard look at it. Even some of the engineers there will look at it, and they will get back with us. And it appears that our last visit, and they'll come every 5, 6 years. Our last visit, we actually, I think, complied 100%. Is that right, Dan? We had, no, that was 90% on the annual reevaluation. It was 100% on the CAP, which meant that every one of their recommendations, the board either chose to follow through on, or staff corrected and got fixed. And that's a big deal because they actually communicate directly with FEMA. FEMA directly communicates with us, and then it helps you with your points when everybody matches together. So that's a big deal. That required coordination with Jana and Kimbo and Carrie on a regular basis in order to get the information to me, and I got to y'all. And believe it or not, y'all participate. You didn't know you were participating, but you did. Some of the text amendments that we did were CAB recommended. So that's an important part that people don't know about. And in that process, it's not nice to know. I heard Ryan say earlier, there's 1,937 flood insurance policies, and those flood insurance policies, this is not the cost of them, but this is the value of those properties is $568 million. It's what's insured on the beach through that program. And then there is the annual evaluation, which we got pretty much got a perfect score on that because they make us send them a whole bunch of stuff and they get fixed. And so we were above 90% on that, 90 to above, and we got to maintain that. That was pretty much Carrie and Jana. They worked on that annual reevaluation. It's the first year that I did not have to be involved. They handled the reevaluation 100% on their own. As a matter of fact, I woke up in the middle of the night sweating. So they did a wonderful job looking out for the old guy on that. And I think that's all that I have. That's all I can talk about.
Any chance in the world of the bathrooms to be open over there? Festival?
That's your answer right there.
Thank you.
You could have probably asked me the mysteries of the universe. I could have answered you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Tim, thank you. Your staff is doing a great job.
Yes, they are.
Mr. McRaney.
No major concerns on the finance report. Few things that stand out. All the general revenue, general fund revenues for September have not been posted yet. That's why revenue looks low. Water and sewer fund, I made a mistake. The FY 25 number should be 266,000, so much more comparable to this year. And the B part expenses look so much higher just because the Central Reach payment was made in September versus October. Any questions?
Good job.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Mr. Benton?
Yeah.
Hello.
This was a pretty decent month, a lot better than previous we've had. It was a lot more just regular maintenance. We were able to maintain all the valves, go and exercise the valves, ready for the hurricane that was predicted to come and hit us. We've been working on trying to find a bunch of meters that were bad and get those changed out. And fixing signs, potholes, just trying to do maintenance things now that it's slowing down and trying to get caught up.
Good report. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Since it is 1 point, I just like things like meter rereads.
Yeah.
230, is that good, bad, normal?
We're working on that. We're trying to get that number down.
Okay.
We've been trying to, a lot of times like the antenna on top there, you see on top of your meter box will be tore off. We've been going through there. We've changed out right many of those in previous months. We're trying to go through there and get them all improved that, so.
Okay. It was the first time I saw a number. So
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know if it was a good number. or
Yeah,
bad.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll hopefully you'll see it go down. I hope. So,
Okay.
that's the goal.
Thank you.
Town Manager Chadwick, number 14.
Yes, sir. Just a few things. The Greensboro Street Lift Station, staff met on site, with the contractor. Contractor didn't meet the October 1st deadline, so now, it looks like it's gonna be, the projected delivery date is November the 14th because of flood doors. It's flood doors, is that?
It's indoors.
Yeah. So there's just a number of things projected for the next 30 days. So any questions on the lift station? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do we have any concern? On the lift station.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Okay. We're next, that's the
Wrong
next
building.
one on the
Yep.
list. Okay.
I'll let you answer my question.
Okay, block Q restrooms and parking. Needless to say, we have a meeting scheduled with the contractor next Monday. And we're gonna be having some discussions with him. And, it has not been a pleasant situation. I'll be just frank and honest. I mean, it's just not been a fun one, not to come into it and to have issues, not for me, but for what staff has had to endure. Is that a good way of saying that, Tim?
Couldn't have said it better.
Nice.
But we're having a meeting with them. It was supposed to be this week, but something came up, and so we had to reschedule it. So we're gonna have a discussion of the end product and when the expected end product date is. And, every time we go over there, there's an issue, right?
Yeah.
That's the politically correct way of saying it. So, but we're all gonna have a discussion with them. And it's gonna be a pretty frank and raw. So, yes, sir.
Do we have any issues with our grant in completing on time yet?
I'll let Christie speak with that. That's one of the discussion. That's one of the things that we're gonna be talking about, because I do remember, actually, I'm not gonna take the thunder, but I do remember something because I was watching that one when somebody who was sitting right here said, am I going to have this by, what was the date?
End of September, I asked the
There
question.
you go. And so, uh, so that, they're not, needless to say, they didn't make that. Go ahead, sorry.
I think this question has been broached before, and we've been real careful not to let the contractor know what our absolute deadline is because they are pushing past every
Okay.
deadline that they've had. I think our next point of recourse will be conversations with the state on how we would like to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ocean Boulevard Stormwater, the PPA's been executed on both sides. And, we've been discussing with the Corps about setting up, about getting the meeting scheduled. Pier site, the future scope of work discussion, you know, it's gonna be determined in the future. And the bond referendum, we know that we're waiting on that. The North Carolina Resilient Coastal Communities Program engineer is going to contact the town staff once contracts are signed with the state. We did receive the Lockwood Folly Bend Widener project. We did receive approval from the county for $131,250, which is a 25% local portion of what ours was 500 and something thousand. So they did approve that. And for employee updates, we got Carrie Redwine has received her electrical inspector level 1 certification. Every place has been, I mean, each one of the departments have been signing off on things that, you know, they don't play around. That's the good thing. You know, when everyone takes initiative to set themselves up and make themselves better, it makes the town better. So give the kudos for everyone doing that. The county fire services update. We attended a meeting with the county and other municipalities to discuss fire services. It is in the infant stages. Oh. Hello. Okay. Okay. We're still. The county is just looking at all options, and I'm going to, if Christie, because we both attended the meeting, if you hear me say something different. There's still a lot of questions that everyone has between all the municipalities, and each one, the county has still got a lot of questions themselves. And so the next steps that they're looking at is looking at models for us to look at to see if they make a change, whether it's any type of tax, a taxing district, it's one taxing district. There's just still a lot of questions, and so is that correct? Is that your synopsis?
Yes, sir. And the county indicated it would probably be a 30 to 45 day turnaround on those models coming into town staff.
All right, and just a few upcoming town events. Barktoberfest, 24th. The 25th and 26th, it's already been talked about, the festival by the sea. The 31st is Trunk or Treat. November the 10th, we have the Veterans Appreciation Luncheon. And the 14th of November, we have the Volunteer Appreciation Luncheon. Those are on the website if you have any other questions to look up. And Tim, yours is the 13th, right?
Well, I hope so, because the people that actually knew were behind me and they left. I sent them home. But
I got you.
They also handle all of that, but I'm pretty sure it's on.
The 13th, yeah. Okay. And Mr. Mayor, I believe that is everything.
Any questions, for Mr. Chadwick?
The veterans is the 10th of November. I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry.
All right, Mr. Evans? We're on number 15 on the agenda.
The 13th, in case you wanted that contractor's
Yeah,
information
sorry.
meeting, we've had it every year. It's our annual contractor's information meeting. And what happens there is the town brings in a whole lot of outside folks who are in the industry, and they do a lot of teaching and education of contractors. A tremendous amount of benefit out of it. The town, they actually receive Con Ed credit. So usually pretty good at it. Okay. All right, so this is assuming I'm on the right one, this is the ordinance change. Is that where we're at? Okay, so this is the ordinance change you had the public hearing on earlier. You've met the public hearing requirements. If the Board of Commissioners so chooses, they need to make a motion to approve, but in the motion, they can either do it two ways. They can make a motion where they say they have considered the consistency statement, and they agree with the consistency statement, or they can actually incorporate it into the full motion to adopt the ordinance.
Yes, sir, Mr. Parker.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2515 and the corresponding statement of consistency.
Second.
Everybody understand the motion? In discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. We are now on number 16.
Yeah. All right. For those of you who've been in a cave for the last 2 years, we have actually gone a long ways into trying to do our best to accommodate those folks who need the amenities if they actually have a disability. We've gone a real long way, but we still got a ways to go. This is the town of Holden Beach. Planning department has put together what we think is a pretty decent ADA assessment. It's a good start. The document, I won't bother to read this whole document, but the document is pretty comprehensive and it's also pretty detailed. And I believe it accomplishes what the board wanted us to do. At the same time, I have to give a disclaimer and say that while it meets some of the Title II requirements, it doesn't meet them all. And while we're lacking in some of the small town ADA assessment of requirements, we also exceeded some. A town our size is not required to have an ADA coordinator, and we do. That's just one where we exceed. We also, a lot of the stuff that we've done that's been ADA is not ADA required, but it is ADA required. And would require other triggers that we did not have, but we went ahead and implemented those ADA activities so that we would be ahead of the game. There's some focal points in here. One is the coastal environmental ADA challenges, and what it does is it means most of our facilities that are actually affected by the conditions by which they're in create situations where we have to follow up on maintenance on a regular basis, and we have to use certain materials and certain designs in order to combat that, or else we're just going to be spending a bunch of money. Digital accessibility on the ADA website, we're definitely lacking there, but there are free programs that we can use that can help us identify what those deficiencies are, and then we can decide which ones we want to take on and how soon we want to do it. And of course, we tried to put some numbers in there to help with the board if they wanted to decide in the future to start implementing some of these ADA assessed items that need to be taken care of. We have some detailed findings in there so that the board and the public can go look at what we're going to be doing. If you go a little bit further on into page 64, we broke it down, the cost breakdown for physical and digital ADA fixes, and we actually put some recommendations in there. We put an average cost per site for the ADA fixes with a chart in there, and then the overall recommendations and prioritizations are pretty important because it basically breaks it all down to what the town needs to be focused on. For instance, future, we need to assess new sites like 357.5, the OBW walkway, 1017 OBW walkway, 11991 OBW, a new walkway at the west end gate, and an all improvement to existing non-compliant walkways. So that's just the future, what we're talking about. And then of course the physical, we've got self-pay parking we need to take a look at and maybe do some stuff there. Then of course the digital audit of the town, and then we talk about coastal challenges. So you could go to the last page, but the meat and potatoes is actually in the body of the assessment. Then there is a recommendation for this, not a recommendation, but a requirement that we need to do. We need to put this in its own tab on the website, the assessment, and we need to let the public have input on it. Public needs to be able to go to read it, see if there's something they want to say, have a section so they can give us some public input. If it's good stuff, we'll use it. If it's something we don't want to do, that's not a requirement, then we can make a decision whether how good an idea it really is. One thing we do have to do is we've got the grievance procedures. We've never had that. Would have been nice if we had, but ADA grievance procedures is very important. I actually chose to use the one that was on the ADA website at the federal level, and we broke it down into this, I think, much easier to follow grievance policy that we can actually put on the website. And of course, if you read the policy, it tells you that written grievances, we'll try to handle them within 180 days of receipt. And of course, it'll have complaint contact information, description of the violation, supporting evidence, and desired. So we really need a grievance policy, and it goes right on down through resolutions and alternate remedies. You can, like I said, this needs to be posted on the town's website. Y'all can adopt it as a policy now, but I would adopt it as a policy that could be amended in case we need to add some of this stuff and make it more clear. But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful policy. Carrie and me did most, if not all, the work on this ADA assessment. Even the leg work, physical work, most of it was done by Carrie. So I think it's a wonderful.
Outstanding job. I think it's great. And I hope this stuff will be considered for the upcoming budget cycle. Can't do it all in 1 year, but if you could lay it out CIP style or something, I think that's great. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that there's another portion of this that's not in here because I don't know how much the board wants to do, but that is where we actually transition. It's that's a portion of this, which is a transition plan for how we get there.
When this first came up, I guess almost going on 2 years ago, I believe pretty strongly that we needed to go outside and get outside expertise to do this. I think we even put out an RFP to get firms, but you've proven me wrong. You did an outstanding job, and I'm starting to appreciate the advantages of having done this in-house in our unique situation and our unique facilities. So outstanding work, and saved us some money by not going outside and getting an outside consultant to do it. So this is very good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we need a motion to accept this assessment. So a motion to accept the ADA assessment.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Didn't you say that it was gonna be, we knew add to that motion that it needs to be amendable?
But that it needs to be, we need to post it for public input on the website, and it can be, so it can be presented.
You agree with that?
Yes, sir, I do, but I think we're accepting it. We're not officially adopting it. I was thinking there's a difference. I agree with you, Rick. So right now we accept it, and when we actually adopt it as a policy would be the time to include that amendability.
All right. Everybody happy? Any more discussion? We're agreeing to accept. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It's unanimous.
Well, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Okay.
Y'all kept me up here all night. I'm not leaving.
All right.
Don't say each other.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this in a positive way because I want it to be a positive statement. I'd like to thank you, Tom, for saying kind words to Tim because it wasn't that long ago that there was we lost one employee and were threats of losing another, and then to hear kindness come back to what at one time was a little more confrontational. That's a good thing to hear, and I appreciate it very much, and I'm sure many others do. So thank you. All right, I believe we're going to have Attorney Moore.
I was planning on reading off of that. He'd be behind you, but right here.
Microphone.
What? Microphone? Can you hear me? We good?
Yep.
Tell me when you want me to flip off those three.
Okay. Well, I guess flip.
Let's just.
So, I was asked to look into the legal obligations regarding the credit grant. Back last year, I gave a short presentation, and it was my understanding that it was not what was wanted. So after completing the memorandum regarding my findings, I am now presenting this to the board and the public. My memo is attached in the agenda. So essentially the only remaining legal obligation that we have left is to develop the property. There's a 5-year development requirement. I believe the property was purchased in 2023, and so there's 5 years on top of that in 2028. In the meantime, until that development is completed, the town does need to keep the property open to the public to the greatest extent possible. You must at least have public access or parking on site, some form of recreation, such as picnic area, trail, or access. The town has met the interim requirement. That has not changed. So, as we go into the grant requirements, the first one, well, Heather's already got it. Thank you. The first one is that it must be kept for public use and recreation in perpetuity. Obviously, the non-discrimination portion, and I also included, since this has come up several times about resident parking fees, there's a requirement that at the your property where this grant funds, non-resident fees or resident fees can be no less than half of the amount charged to non-residents. Showed an example that if a non-resident fee is $200 per year, the lowest allowable fee for a resident would be $100 per year. Now that is just on the pier parking lot. That does not affect other parking lots. However, if you were to do a parking pass that encompassed all of them, you would have to keep it at the 1/2 amount, no less than 1/2. Next is the deed restrictions. I was asked to include the language that is recorded on the deeds. You can find this if you want to do a property search at book 4980 on page 0838. These really just were required from the part of grant, and they were reported pretty much word for word about their assessment. I don't think there should be any questions. All right, so next, where a lot of the questions keep coming from. Essentially, every single option that anyone has ever come up with to in any way change this grant, it's going to be a conversion, no matter what. There's no option other than conversion. Conversion one way or another. So the definition for conversions here, use of the property acquired with part of assistance for a purpose other than public recreation. And once you trigger a conversion, the town must repay current fair market value for the property to part of to mitigate. I have a little example. It makes sense in my brain. If it does not make sense, I will try to figure out another way to explain it. I do better with variables. So the example here is that a conversion is triggered. I will show you on the next slide what triggers a conversion. It's everything, but I will show you the exact reasons why later. So the conversion is triggered, the property fair market value is determined to be X. That determination is made by the state, not by us. If we sell it, do whatever else, that's what has to be paid back to part of. It doesn't matter. The town took out Y in a loan, correct? That is the original purchase of the property. No matter what, town has to repay X. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, no matter what you get for that property, because town still owes Y. This makes sense. I'm not quite sure if I did a good math lesson. Y is always going to have to be paid by the town, no matter what. That original loan, the X does not come out of that. So if you sell it, you don't get to take out what you sold it for from Y. You don't get to pay your loan off with Y, with X. That goes directly to part of. Is that? Okay. I'm not a math teacher. Yes.
Can I take a shot at it?
Yes, please. You're an engineer.
Yeah, that's going to help because I like variables too. Anyway, basically, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is if we trigger a conversion by sale or non-recreational use, we have to give Pardiff the entire fair market value of the property as determined by the state. None of that money is available to be applied to our loan currently.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's whatever it's appraised at today, it's not just repay the 500 grand. So, yeah, we own it.
But you still have to pay the loan.
Yeah, that's the point. Why is the loan?
And don't you still have to pay the 500 original 500,000 too?
No.
Ferguson.
I want us to be real careful here. So with conversion, if you go to the Pardiff manual, you read in their conversion section that it is highly discouraged. You do not go hand Pardiff back a check for any amount of money. Conversions are in the form of land. So first of all, Pardiff will talk you out of any conversion that you can do. Then they will come, if it comes to conversion, and they will have a discussion with the town that looks at what the fair market value of the property is currently. And so the 500,000 is way out, it's gone. It's what it is now. And they will tell you that you have to find property of equal recreational value to do a conversion, and you will still owe the original loan of Y that she's talking about. So it's a land for land. There has only been one occasion that I'm aware of where there has been not one complete lot, but a piece of a parcel that there was a money transaction, and it was for just a few acres of a much larger. So this money exchange or paying back the grant, Sydney and I had a discussion about one of her original slides. It really doesn't exist, and you guys don't get to choose that option. They're going to do their best to make you find land for land exchange. I hope that helped clarify that.
So, and this is going off of your Cardiff manual and the legal requirements. 50 is right there, the land, and you'll see the exchange for the another parcel on the next slide. And I mean, my memo should have told you that I agree wholeheartedly with Christie that converting is a bad idea. Conversion is not recommended in any way whatsoever by me or by Cardiff, but let's still go through it so everyone understands exactly what it is. Next slide. So I have 6 examples of how conversion occurs, just to lay it out there. All right. Exchanging encumbered property with another parcel, which is what Christy is talking about. What I understand is that we don't have a lot of parcels to exchange with, especially that have the same recreational or natural resource usefulness as the property that Cardiff Grant is currently on. But if that did happen, it would require the town to replace the property with a new property of the equivalent fair market value and recreational or natural resource usefulness at the time of the conversion and require DNCR approval. The second, selling the encumbered property, unlikely, but in the event that it was allowed to happen, again, unlikely, we're going to go back to fair market value of the property. Making use of the property for purposes other than public recreation. This is triggered by adding any public or private facilities other than the public recreation facilities to the property. It includes cell towers, town halls, fire stations, libraries, etc. for long-term use. There is a caveat for short-term uses under 1 year, but they do require DNCR approval. Number 4 is leasing the property, except for there are exceptions. Exception 1 is short-term lease under 1 year with minimal negative impact on public recreational value of the land. And the other exception is for the purpose of having an entity operate the property on behalf of the town for public recreation purposes. And I have been working with Cardiff to get some language for you all to review that has to do with those types of leases. 5, permanently closing all or a portion of the property to the public. Or 6, return the grant. Again, it's not going to happen. Like Christy just said, it's not going to happen. This is just technically from the language that we have available. It would render the town ineligible for any and all future Cardiff grants if it was allowed, which is really not. And it would be current fair market value of the property, not the original grant amount. The point for all these conversions, showing you how not viable they are, is to show that it's not really an option. Technically, if one can argue, it is an option if you want to spend a lot of money to not get what you want. Anyways, it's not truly an option. But it's here so that everyone can understand, hopefully, that's not an option. All right, so questions. Sorry, Heather. I've been really bad about this. Hopefully the memo did a better job explaining it than I just did. So.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
make a
sir.
I have a comment, because this was my motion from a year ago, and I appreciate you bringing it forward. The intent of this whole discussion isn't to look at the merits or what you think about the part of grant, because it is our deal. That's the contract we signed. The purpose was to clarify what the town's obligations and responsibilities are as a mutually agreed to by both parties, being the party folks and our town attorney. Back in October a year ago, there was concern whether or not we had it right. So anyway, I think it's important for people to be aware, because I've seen some things like we just need to sell the property or do whatever, or we want certain non-recreational facilities there. So as we go forward, particularly with the referendum coming up, I think people need to understand the constraints we have, so they can make their decision accordingly. And I appreciate you putting this together. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. At the September Board of Commissioners meeting, the board directed staff to bring back an RFQ for the Block Q property, Jordan Boulevard and the bridge area. That document is attached here for your consideration this evening.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I appreciate the work that's gone into getting this done and turning it around so quickly. It's not hitting the mark for me yet. The other commissioners may have different take on it. And there's several things that I'd like to look at before this thing goes live. So as written, I can't support it tonight, but I would like to give some feedback to staff, just to let them know what I'm thinking, assuming the other commissioners don't move it forward.
Anybody else want to speak? Still have the floor, sir.
I'm done.
You're done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm not ready to support this version as written.
Okay.
But thank you for the effort.
Well, are there items that you'd like to add? And we can say, go ahead, adding those items, or we're gonna.
To be frank, and there's enough here, I'm not gonna try to edit this document during the meeting. I'll give you some examples. First of all, I think there needs to be some sort of site plan, so a prospective applicant can see what land we're talking about. I think we need to be asking for a firm that has design and has experience in design and construction of coastal recreational facilities. The tasker was actually to develop an RFQ for a comprehensive design. This reads to me like we're asking for a master plan. So I've got a few other examples, but it's enough to where we're not going to make those changes tonight, unless you guys go ahead with it, which is perfectly fine. This is just my opinion.
Doctor.
I thought we voted to do a master plan, but my issue with this is the Block Q portion. We're just basically tying up what we had planned on doing for the stage, and by pushing this forward another meeting, we're pushing that even further. It's in the budget. The site plan was agreed to. All we had to do was have a drawing. So I'm still confused as to why we can't go ahead and go with that. It was mentioned in the comments earlier about a temporary situation. We've got the funds in there to build a stage. We've already had a site plan made. We've already had some ideas by the Park and Rec Board. And by delaying this even further, that's going to delay that even further. In a temporary situation, you got to have a place to store something temporary. We're going to spend a lot of money renting something. I think the cost of renting the stage for the festival has been, last year, I think was $37,000, $40,000. I just don't know why we look at a temporary fix when we were moving ahead until the last meeting to go ahead with that. And then that was stopped to do the master plan for this, and now we're pushing that out even further. I think that's doing a big disservice to the community.
Anyone else?
Well, I agree. We seem to keep kicking this down the road. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the distribution of a RFQ for a master plan that has been prepared by the staff.
That's a motion.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion.
I mean, this isn't perfect, but I do think we need to, I'm not happy with the current plan we've got. I don't like the U-shaped dance floor that goes around. I don't like the size of the facility. There's a lot of issues that just don't make sense to me. I wish there was a way to move forward with the bandstand concert venue without knowing you're going to impact parking or the rest of the site. And so I guess I'm torn. I don't want to move forward with what we've got, but I think we need to move quickly to get something out there with some alternatives and look at a big picture. So I don't think I can support moving forward with what we've got. I'd like to find out a way to, get this on the street quickly by incorporating whatever issue you think is absolutely needs to be in it.
Anyone else? You ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, so it's a tie, right?
Yes, sir.
You're up. Well, I get the. May I speak?
Yes, you may. You may vote.
Well, you're doing me a disservice because you said I may vote, but never gives me a chance to talk.
You may talk.
Yeah, talk first. Okay. I would like to see the motion withdrawn because at this point it's on the table for a vote, but I'm going to vote that I'm going to vote no. And the reason I'm going to vote no is because I would rather see this motion be defeated and go back to undo what was done that stopped the entire project. What, 1 or 2 meetings ago? I would hope that somebody would put the motion to put that back in place since the money was in the budget already. Am I making sense?
I think that motion was to ask the architect.
Madam Clerk, can you go back to that motion that stopped us going forward on this project before? Was that 1 meeting ago or 2 meetings ago?
It was the motion to have the architect draw a plan for the stage. We had approved the site plan for the location.
Yeah, that's what I want to clarify.
That was approved
Because
for 4-1.
this is just gonna, I don't see how you're gonna have anything next summer if we pass this motion. And so if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but timeline puts us right back to where we were a year ago. Is there anything?
Motion that failed 2 meetings ago. Motion by Commissioner Smith to allow him to use drawings on a stage for the concert that in his opinion wouldn't interfere with anything else that was going to be put on the property. And then Commissioner Smith amended his motion to ask Mr. Baker and his group to do some drawings on a concert venue that would not affect future development. Second by Commissioner Dyer. And then interim town manager Ferguson said Mr. Baker's current scope of work is for a master plan. She asked that the motion be amended to request a proposal for the drawing. Commissioner Smith agreed to add it. They both agreed with the language, and then the motion failed. So then we brought the following meeting, we brought back an item, and that one was motion by Commissioner Parsons to instruct staff to develop an RFQ for a comprehensive design for Block 2, Jordan Boulevard Bridge area and side of the former pavilion to be reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, which was seconded by Commissioner Thomas.
So, excuse me, I'd like to call a point of order because I don't believe that that is relevant to the agenda item that we're discussing right now. That would be a separate agenda item.
You're acting mayor.
We've got a vote that correct?
You're acting mayor.
Okay, we had a 3-2 vote to defeat the motion, so,
No, I haven't voted yet.
oh, I thought I heard you say no.
No, I said if I voted, I would vote no, but then I asked the question, so I haven't voted yet, but she's asking you a point of order. We got a rule on it.
Sounds like we got to call the question then, and then we can move on to the second topic.
What's the second topic?
To-
What's the second topic?
To reinstate the previous motion from a couple meetings ago. That's a different topic than the motion that's on the floor right now.
You're acting mayor.
Heather, would you please read the motion that's on the floor now with a 2-2 vote? And that vote is 2-2. So the mayor gets to break the tie.
So you're cutting off discussion and you're calling for a vote.
Well,
That's
discussion on this topic. If you have more discussion on this topic,
Well, Block Q is included in the topic.
discussion on the motion that's on the floor.
Correct.
Well, I'm gonna vote no, but I totally disagree with your ruling, sir.
Okay. So the motion fails 3-2 and, or 2-3, and I'll give you back the gavel. We can move on to the next topic. I assume discussion's still underway for the agenda item.
Say that again?
The agenda item's still on the floor, I believe. Is that correct?
No, I thought.
We just voted
I
on it.
thought
I
you
don't
just had-
believe so. I think it's over now.
We're on the next item.
Okay.
Well, can the staff have some clarification?
He's already had the vote and yeah, yes, I've got the gavel again.
So
Yes, ma'am, you have the floor.
am I to understand that Mr. Parfus is going to share his comments with the entire board and the staff, and then you guys are going to look for this to come back in November?
Matt, sir.
Sure.
It sounds to me the direction I wanted to go has failed. And it sounds to me, that you guys currently have votes, want to go back to the original plan from a couple meetings ago. So that just has to be another agenda topic. I can share my comments, but I would think that all the board members, if they have comments, I would provide them. The motion was to provide an RFQ for review, not actually vote on it. So I reviewed it, and for me personally, there's changes I would make.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, and to me, it sounds like the motion to move forward and with this thing failed, and we need to move on, and there needs to be another agenda item if you want to go back the other way. That's just my assessment. I'm done.
Believe.
If I may, in the normal procedural world that I've been involved with, another motion can be put forth on the table for consideration. That motion died. It doesn't mean that another motion can't be put forward on the same subject. Anybody want to correct me on that?
Well, except the subject is the RFQ. Is that not the agenda item, the RFQ?
Yeah. The RFQ was the agenda item, and so as far as you would need to amend the agenda if you wanted to add another item on there. But I don't, but it's already, normally you would do that at the beginning of the meeting, as you adopt the agenda. Like We already
Yeah,
have.
there's no argument about that. I agree with that.
Mhm.
But just because a motion dies doesn't mean you can't put forth another motion.
That's the attorney.
But anyway,
Can we ask the attorney?
Madam Attorney, you want to buy in on this? But at the same time, I'm no longer, I'm mayor again, so I'm out of it. Ms. Thomas and Mr. Myers were successful in their maneuver.
So in other words, we can't make any motion to.
Yeah, we're on next time. I mean, you know, we're not gonna get away from their argument. All right.
Kick it down the road again.
Well, I was trying to clarify what you were saying. If you could repeat that one more time.
That's what he tried to do when he was.
Related to the RFQ, I think is the key. It has to be related to the agenda topic item, Sydney.
Right. That's what he tried to do.
No, we don't have another motion on the floor. The motion, there was only one motion and it was defeated.
There's not another motion coming forth. We're going to number 19.
Are we still on 18?
I think Christie's asking for direction. Do you want her to change the RFQ or do you want it to go away? That's what she's asking. Do you want to give feedback or do you want it to go away?
That's already gone away. I was asking if we're still on item 18. Can I direct staff to bring to the next meeting about the proposal for the architect for the drawing of the concert venue?
You can put an agenda item next month on the agenda anytime you want if you get two
The attorney
commissioners
said-
to approve it.
The attorney just said we could
So, yeah.
direct, the attorney just said we could direct staff under this item number. Is that correct?
On the RFQ.
That's what I was saying. For the,
Yes, ma'am. I was answering you. I thought I was acknowledging you. I didn't know that you were asking me a question. Sure.
The board can give any kind of direction that you
That's right.
want to at any moment.
That's right.
That,
Well, I would like Rick to work with Christie and provide his feedback and incorporate it in. And bring it back at the next meeting.
I'd like to instruct her to do the concert venue again.
That's not the agenda item. The agenda item is the RFQ.
that's already,
Well, let's try to get something
can
moving.
we vote in
You-
the direction of what I brought up?
Okay. Okay, may I speak just a second?
Yes, please.
The town manager's correct. The board can give directions to staff anytime you want. We haven't gone to number 19 and done anything active on it yet. But if you don't do something and give some direction, I'm going to go to number 19 because we've already voted. So if you want to give input to the staff, any one of you commissioners can give input to the staff right now. So just tell the staff what you want and
So-
be recognized and get the floor.
So that's what I was trying to do. And
Okay, you want to make another stab at it?
sure. Do I need to make it as a motion or just a request
No.
for? Okay, so I'd like to
You don't
request
have to,
that
you could.
Okay.
You could make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we instruct staff to revisit the stage with the architect about bringing forth to approve us to move forward with the drawings.
So I did point of
I'll
order
second
because that isn't relative to the
I think
agenda
you're
topic,
out of
which is
order.
the RFQ.
Ma'am, you need to be recognized to speak. If we're gonna be technical, let's start being technical across the board. Okay, are you through, Doctor?
Did you get that motion? Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Thomas, you have the floor.
I think Rick
So
seconded.
I'm gonna call a point of order on that motion because it is not relative to the current agenda item, which is the RFQ that the staff developed and whether we want to move forward with it.
Doctor, to help appease Mrs. Thomas, would you consider just simply giving direction and see if I can get a consensus of the board to give direction to the staff rather than a motion?
Whatever will make it work. That'll be great.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, so you're gonna withdraw your motion
Sure.
and now say what you'd like to give direction to the board, and I'll try to get consensus from the diocese.
I would like for the staff to reconsider the situation with just moving forward with the stage at the site plan that was already approved at Block Q with the architect. Is that what I need? But
I agree. We had it all ready to go. It was already voted on, and then they kicked it back to where we were 4 years ago and wanting to do the whole Jordan Boulevard area all in one master plan. Well, that's great, but we want the concert venue first.
Mr. Parfus or Mr. Myers, you want to comment? Or Ms. Thomas, do you want to comment?
I don't really get a vote on this, so, but I don't agree that we should go back to that. I think we should try to get the RFQ to a point where we can approve it and get a total site plan.
All right, Mr. Parfus or Mr. Myers? you
No,
want to-
I agree. I think we need a site plan. I think we need to move forward. I'd like for Mr. Parfus to be supportive of it and whatever that takes in terms of incorporating feedback and presenting it back. So I'd like to allow everybody to provide input to the RFQ. And if we are in a hurry, I'm fine with holding a special meeting to approve it before the next meeting. If it's that urgent, and it's that important, we can do that.
Can I
Okay,
just
so-
ask, Mr. Mayor, could I ask
Yes,
for
sir.
clarification, please? Because, okay, so,
I can't get consensus.
okay. So, Mr. Myers, you were looking to redo the RFQ, correct?
To revise it and incorporate, right, some
Okay.
input to it.
And you are talking about going ahead and moving forward with
with the concert
the
venue
concert
that we
venue.
had agreed to the site plan, a 4-1 vote for the site plan. And there's a budget allowance for the building of the stage. By moving forward with the whole site, we're just slowing the whole process down.
Okay. This is pleasant, I'll tell you.
Welcome to
Okay,
Holden Beach.
that's it. Hey,
Welcome, welcome.
okay, I'm gonna try to be a solutions-based person right now. It's going to be time-consuming, but Mr. Parfus, we will take your input, and anybody else's input. You know, please call us for that aspect. But to me, there's a 2-2 vote right now. And I know Commissioner Thomas is on the phone, but, so we're trying to get the direction. So we will do both of those. Both what you're asking, and we will do what you're asking at the same time. And we will have something. I know that's time consuming for the staff, but, you know, it is being bogged down, coming in from the outside looking in. We want to move forward, and I know all of y'all want to move forward with something. So let's go ahead and see what we can come up with as the staff. But we need you to expedite anything that you are looking for in the RFQ, because RFQs are not easy to assemble. I personally, you know, thought that it was a good RFQ. And I'll give that now because since it's died. But we're going to try to come up with some solutions for y'all. And I know all of the staff right now is probably saying, what in the world you putting that much more on us? But we're going to try to come up with some sort of a consensus for you. Then we will move forward and be ready to do something at the next meeting. Because I told y'all when we were coming in that, you know, spinning wheels is not fun. It's unpleasant. It's not good for y'all. It's not good for the town. We want to move forward, and as the staff, that's what we're waiting to do. We want to help y'all, but y'all got to help us. So get us your stuff as soon as you can, exactly what you're looking for out there, and, you know, we'll move forward.
You know, a motion be made for us to get the plans for the stage.
I think the direction of what y'all have told us is enough for us to do that. But I don't know. I'll go to the attorney just to make sure.
Well, can I weigh in a little bit?
Yes, ma'am, you go ahead.
So where we were last time is, if you guys were, so he had already placed something on a sheet of paper of where the stage and the dance floor would be. And the next step was going to be, had the vote gone differently at that time, would have been that you would be providing direction on what you wanted to see so he could give us a scope of work. Because right now we don't have a scope of work for him to do anything.
Okay.
So we can't bring you back
Right.
anything pretty for you to look at or anything, because he doesn't know what he's going to be doing as a scope of work, and there was no direction. So because it went in a different direction altogether. So I'm not sure what the deliverable
Right.
that you're saying we'll
Yeah.
have as the second piece would actually be, other than potentially a fee proposal to do what was on the sheet of paper. So that may be what you were looking at. Excuse me, looking at. I'm not saying we can't get the fee proposal, but that's where we were next, because it had already been put on a sheet of paper.
All right, everybody understand where we are? I'm gonna say one thing as we move to number 19. Those of you that have been around a long time may remember how many times we've done this on Jordan Boulevard. Those that are new, that don't know the past, or you think you're plowing a new field, and this field has been worn out, you're going down the same road, the same rows. So a few more years down the road, we'll probably get there. Number 19.
Yes, sir. So each year, as part of the budget, there is outside funding agencies or donations category. In the past, those have been listed, approved as part of the budget message, and enacted as part of the budget ordinance. There was an expression by some commissioners that they wanted to follow what was on the application, where each application came before the commissioners for approval. So this is the first one to request their funding in this fiscal year's budget. It's the Women's Club, and they've laid out what they actually do. with the money that is donated to their organization. So it's before you for approval or consideration as you so see fit.
I move we approve the
Second.
donation request.
Second.
Discussion. Any discussion, commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimous. Thank you, ma'am. Public comments, anything anyone in the room wants to say about anything on the agenda or off, if you raise your hand, be recognized. Give us your name and where you live.
Rick McIntyre, 122 Frigate. My pleasure to be here again tonight on behalf of the Holden Beach Community Alliance to do our part in welcoming Mr. Chadwick to Holden Beach. We look forward to working with you. Welcome. We're glad to have you. Some of these comments may be for your benefit as far as what the Community Alliance stands for. We are a 501c3 tax exempt organization that has as our mission to preserve the heritage, history, and landmarks of the Holden Beach community. We've been in existence for a couple of years, and at that time have accomplished several things and participated in numerous community events. We've been a consistent advocate for the pier and the pier building, and have a vision of establishing a museum of history, either here on the island or somewhere on the causeway. We've hosted 2 free welcome to the beach cookouts over the Memorial Day weekends for the last 2 years. We've fed well over 200 people at each one of those events, hot dogs and all the fixings. So Memorial Day, you'll be welcome there. We've developed an interactive telephone app that leads visitors on a historical tour of Holden Beach with certain things you scan and pictures of that historical place comes up, the sunken ships and the airport and all that exciting stuff. We've hosted several meet and greet information sections. Before the pier house was actually torn down, we got in there and salvaged about 40 items of historical interest in hopes to put in a museum one day. They're currently housed in a climate-controlled storage facility, waiting until the museum actually is a reality. We've collected and delivered supplies to the flooded areas of western North Carolina, purchased Christmas gifts with funds that were donated to us specifically for that purpose for a specific family in western North Carolina that had a lot of kids and had lost their home and everything connected with it. We've had an information booth at the community festivals trying to get the word out about our purpose. One of our current projects is trying to develop a historical documentary that can talk about the history of the island, be used for community gatherings, school events, and other places that have a need for that kind of program. Our fundraising efforts have been small but consistent. They've included yard sales, a community oyster roast, selling tickets at concerts, selling T-shirts, and collecting donations from interested members in the community. So, as the town continues to develop plans for projects, yeah, that'll scare you, won't it? Just know that we're here and we're willing to help raise funds, collect funds, memorials, estate plans, and things of that nature. So that's Community Alliance. And I'll make one comment, compliment to Tim on my way to my seat, a compliment to Tim and his staff. If you have in mind that you might be considering something that might be in violation of the flood issues, his responses are consistent and real easy to understand.
All right, who else wants to say something? Good or bad in between? Mr. Hawk, I'm proud to recognize you and allow you to come to the podium.
Chad Hawk, 22 Ocean Boulevard West. I came up because I wanted to talk about the Ocean Isle terminal project and what's been going on over there, and the effect on the west end of this island. I was pretty disappointed it was not on tonight's agenda, and I'm trying to ask myself why it isn't being discussed at this level. There's a real impact going on there. Alan, you talked about it at one point about how you haven't seen Monk Island in the way it's been done. They're in serious trouble down there, and it's starting to affect our West End. I'm asking you guys to actually take it up and have a discussion about it. Secondly, I'm gonna go back to my Part F comment. We need to put something up on the website. We need to put something up on our YouTube site that really explains difficult conversation. Because I don't think people understand, even after tonight. And lastly, you guys can do better. I'm Sarah, we're our neighbors, our family, our friends. You guys can do better. It's sad watching this. I mean, your neighbors. Treat yourself like that, okay?
Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to speak? All right, sir. Mr. Smith.
You can speak about anything?
Anything you want to talk about?
Well, no, I'm just kidding. First, with Block Q, I think it was great tonight, actually, because now what you could do possibly is next meeting, come back and put on the agenda that you still want an overall plan for the whole area, but then you can also put in that you want to bring back the plan so you can go ahead and stage while you're still looking at the overall thing. You can actually have both things at one time, because I was on Parks and Recs when we went through that whole process multiple times, and there is no better spot for the stage in that entire area. He went through it, he did the sunshades, all of that stuff. So you could still look at what you're doing outside of that and get the stage built at the same time. So that would be a way for both sides to get what they want in this process. Just a thought. With regards to the Part F grant, you did a great job explaining it. I got the X, I got the Y, and I'm not that smart, so I got all that. But let me make it relatable to me, because I'm sitting here looking at how do you do this. A Part F grant, the purpose is when you use that money to keep a recreational property, we call it perpetuity, let's call it a lifetime. There's something that some of us men are wearing around our finger. We do the same thing with our spouses. Now, we could go look somewhere else, but it's not a really good idea because the intent is for us to stay together. Well, that's the Part F grant. Its intent is for that property to stay recreational because everybody's buying for that property. The amount of homes, the amount of property that could be put there, and the amount of money that could be made is tremendous. But this Part F grant restrains you from doing it because it has a purpose. And so that's kind of I think a better analogy of what the Part F grant. Yes, it ties you in. It limits you a lot. But in marriage, that's a great thing. At least in my case it is. Because now my wife won't run off. She's got a ring. Well, if she runs off, at least she's got to look at the ring. And if we want to run off from this property, we're going to have to pay a heavy price tag for that. And so that's the purpose of that, tying it to it, because recreational property is usually not at the top of a developer's list. They usually include it because they're trying to get the county to approve an overall structure. So this was a little bit unique in the sense that it tied directly to the purchase. So that's just my thoughts on that. And then I think as far as the Block Q goes, sidestep, Tom, I thank you for commenting on Tim's work and his work that he put into this and what he is saving town owners real dollars. So I know in times past that may have not come out as clear as you probably would have liked it, but this time it came out crystal clear that you really appreciate what Tim did. And so as someone who probably has, well, I'm good.
Anyone else want to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Leslie Williams at 165 High Point. I just have a question. The date that you gave, was it 2023 for the purchase? Because I thought it was earlier. It didn't say 2028.
I have written that down. Anyway, I just looked and I think it was 22. Not 28. So
Yes, ma'am.
well, that's okay. I just need you to. That's okay.
For those that are listening, what is the correct date? Yeah,
The deed restriction was recorded in 2023, and I misspoke.
anyone else want to speak? All right, we're going to declare that part of public comment concluded. And we're now on number 21, mayor's comments. The good Lord has spared us again this year, possibly on hurricanes coming to Holden Beach. We've got a little disturbance in the Caribbean. And I've always said October the 15th, there's not one right on our doorstep. We're safe. And my understanding is the one that's potentially active, or not a hurricane yet, but a disturbance in the Caribbean is, even if it comes this way, it would go offshore is what I'm being told. So let's keep our fingers crossed and keep praying that we make it through the year.
Amen.
The weekend is going to be special, and I understand the weather's going to be good. I hope everybody comes. I don't know, overall, I'm amazed at the number of people on this island. Here we are, having come through the middle part of October, and it's so evident that whenever I was growing up, Labor Day afternoon at 4 o'clock, you look to see if there's a car moving on Holden Beach. You know, it was dead because everybody's going to school the next morning. Now our season is not just 3 months a year. It's now, you know, you got spring, early spring, you got early fall, late fall, and even into Christmas. And so things are changing on Holden Beach. And some think that's a good thing. Some are thinking otherwise. But anyway, one comment I especially want to drive home tonight. Most all of us spend time going up and down the island to some degree. Some of us spend more time going down and up more streets than others. I think I fall into the latter category. And one observation I'm proud to make, and I'm sure many of you will agree, Holden Beach has never looked better than it does right now. The people that are taking care of their lawns, their houses, the maintenance, the overall island is just, it's never looked better than it does right now. And I would also say that having been on the wrong side of many things in the past, things like the town considering taking over the overseeing of the causeway with extraterritorial jurisdiction. I was on the wrong side of that. We lost that argument back in the day. Those of us that wanted water, I was on the wrong side of that, but it finally came through. I was on the wrong side of sewer, and finally it came through. And I look back and the water, the sewer issues, the sidewalk issues, the bike path was the last one. You know, I took a lot of blastings and a lot of cussings on the bike path. You know, the driveways are getting disturbed. There was a rock in place between my house and the highway now because of the bike path. And, you know, the list just goes on and on. And now we've got the pier being the big subject matter, and whichever side you're on, time will prove it was a good idea or a bad idea, whatever the outcome is. And so thank goodness we've got water, and thank goodness we've got sewer, thank goodness we've got sidewalks, thank goodness we've got bike path, and thank goodness the town of Holden Beach has never looked better. So I'm proud of this place, and I hope all the people that own property here and live here and visit here feel the same way. And with that, Mr. Myers, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to officially welcome Brian. I'm glad to have you here at the table. Look forward to working with you, and good to have you on board. And thanks to everybody for attending, either here in person or virtually, and thanks for providing your input.
Mr. Smith?
Again, thanks for everybody being here tonight. Thanks for the hard work of the staff, Tim and his group. They really do a good job of getting the permits out now. I've not heard any negativity on that department now in over years. So whatever he's doing it right. Rest of the staff does a great job. Jeremy and his staff does a great job. Maintenance, everybody seems to work so well together here at Holden Beach, and it's really a blessing that we got to have people here that are so dedicated. And with Mr. Chadwick now with us to make it all cohesive, we've got it from top to bottom. I think we're going to move forward. I just hate that we can't move forward on stuff that we work so hard for, and then 2 years ago everything stopped. It's really disheartening, because at one point we really were making Holden Beach move forward. We were taking some risks, but they were within reason, and now we seem to be, every time we try to do something, it gets pushed back again. So that's a little disheartening. However, this weekend's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be at the Festival by the Sea. There's going to be a lot of people here and a lot of kids. So as Jeremy will attest to, be careful when you're in that area, because it's hard to hold on to some of them young ones when they decide to take off in another direction. But I want to again thank everybody for being here and listening in tonight.
Ms. Thomas?
So I just wanted to apologize for not being able to attend in person tonight. I had some family issues that are keeping me here in Virginia for a few days. But I did want to make sure that I acknowledge Tim and his staff for all the hard work they did on our flood insurance and also on the ADA assessment. We appreciate all of that hard work, and all the staff appreciate everything you guys do. And thanks everyone for coming. Have a good night.
Dr. Dyer?
So I want to reiterate, everyone speaking about the big festival this weekend, October the 25th and the 26th. But you know what's near and dear to my heart is going to be Barktoberfest.
Yeah.
So we got to bring that up. That's Friday night. Chrissy, what's the time? 5 o'clock. So come out and see the best dressed dogs. I believe Chief Dixon's dog won last year. I'm not. Are you? Okay. You think so? Okay. So bring the puppies with the best dressed costume. Is it too late to register your dog, Christy? Okay. So make sure to get your dog's best dressed costume out if you want to dress up like your dog, and come on out. But Friday night at 5 o'clock. So make sure you hit that too, because that's going to be the night before the festival. We can make a whole weekend out of it. And make sure, this is important, you get out and vote. Thank you.
Mr. Parfus?
Brian, I want to welcome you to Holden Beach as well, and I wish you a lot of success while you're here. You have an outstanding staff to support you. You probably know that by now. Outside of that, thanks everybody for coming, for listening, and that's all I've got.
Is there a motion we go into executive session?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for being here.